It's time for Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Tonight, let us make them remember we are not afraid!
Undefeated here on Declare Your Independence. I feel a lot better. I got James Corbett here, and it's the first thing I want to do is I want to find out how James does a lot of it. I mean I do 15 hours a week of radio. You got boom, it's live and rock and roll, and we do video and we can do a lot of stuff. We can show prep and we have guests, but it's not the same. When I grow up, I want to be like James Corbett. I would love to be able to go into one single issue, pull all the threads and build, and then when you sent it to Brock West to do the actual videoing, the video and graphics that you use and so on, what role do you play in that? How much do you send him? Does he just get it and rock and roll, or are you suggesting things? How's that work?
Well, it depends what we're doing. If we're doing, because sometimes I'll just do a podcast where it's mostly me on the webcam talking, and we'll intercut that with some images and what have you. And that generally is left up to Brock. It's generally pretty self-explanatory. If I'm talking about a specific image or a video, he can show that on screen. But if you're talking about like the documentary style production where it's just my voice narrating and it's all images and video, then there's some amount of mixture. I might say I want something specific on this scene, or you have to show this. But generally, Brock puts something together, and then we'll go over it together, and I'll go back and forth with him. Oh, yeah, that looks good, or take that out, or maybe we should use this instead of that.
I'm really impressed with it. It's rare that sometimes, I do write original articles, or I'll go deep on something, and I'll take the time. But I tell you what happened. It was Monday afternoon. I knew all the articles and so on. I'd send you some, links and stuff to, kind of, so I didn't, take advantage of you. This is what we were looking at. We have changed the search engine on Freedom's Phoenix. Google has gotten so bad, and a lot of the search engines have gotten so bad, you can't find a lot of the stuff. Hell, you can't find your stuff, So Saheed Miller is an activist that did some work for FEE and some other organizations, and another Muslim agorist individual that we've been working with on the IPFS thing. So we're going on big on search on that and a lot of other stuff because I see the future, what's going to happen. And it's already manifested itself that you can't find some of the stuff that I know is even on my own site. Because you used to be able to in the search engine, you can go freedomsphoenix.com on Google, look for whatever, it'd come up. Doesn't do that anymore. So what we did is we tweaked our own algorithm inside our own search, and you got 400,000 articles, and all of a sudden, boom, there it is. I remember that, and we're working on doing the same thing for IPFS because I see that as the future for this reason. So I just want you guys to know there's solutions in the pipeline. Now, when I sat down with all the articles and I printed out a bunch and I had them up on my computer, I went in my living room and I got a coffee table that the lid kind of comes up, so you can eat there or something. I just find it convenient to work on, so on like that. So I sat down there, and before I even started, the first pair, I just knew what I was getting into, and I choked up like I was going to cry. And I just had to give myself a moment to just go, all right, we got to dive into this. And did you ever get that feeling? Do you ever explain that? That's kind of the first time I've I go, oh my God, I got to do. I'm going. I bet James goes through this crap.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, essentially, yeah, because in your head, there's like 8,000 pieces that connect into some sort of bigger puzzle. But how do you put those pieces together? And then how do you articulate it and lay it out for someone that they can see it step by step? It's exceptionally frustrating. And that's why it takes years for something like the Big Oil documentary to percolate and come together and finally come out in some sort of form that I hope people get the idea. I think there's an even bigger picture than what I'm saying here, but at least you get this part of the picture, right? Did I put the pieces together right? Yeah, it's very overwhelming.
It's that, I mean, it was certainly, God, how do I do this justice? It's kind of, and I'm going, oh my God, this is so bad. And I make light of it and we're not afraid and all that kind of stuff. But this is how I'm not afraid, by understanding it and bringing it down to the human level. If you have in a neighborhood, Hitler's just a bully, but head of a state, give him tanks, you got some issues, I please comment.
Absolutely right. And yeah, when you lay it out and you spread it out and you're looking at all of these pieces and how they fit together, and then you see the bigger picture and you know what it means, it can be overwhelming. And sometimes it's almost, I want to say, like, awesome in the sense of that word, awe-inspiring, when you look at the incredible nature of this intricate beast machine that has been pieced together by these people in all of these intricate operations into a million pieces that most people will never even understand. And when you start to connect those pieces and see how it fits together, and I don't know the right word for it, but it is overwhelming.
Yeah, it's something. I don't think I've ever done that before. Well, a lot of it's, I know I'm going to talk to you, so you got to bring your game. But I sat there and it was just, I couldn't get started. I had to give myself a moment. I just sat back for a little bit and just let myself kind of, I don't know, it wasn't crying, but it was just, it's like a sad part or a inspiring part or a inspirational part at the end of a movie. They made you do one manly tear kind of thing,
Yeah.
And it was just, I'm going, it was that feeling. And I'm just, so props to you, man. You go through this freaking multiple times a week. The one thing that I did want to bring up is something that was new to me. And we'll do this justice another time. There's a lot of stuff here, and we'll go over it. And we start a little bit early, so we can, can you do the full hour? You can go till the top of the next hour? Okay, good. We'll take the time on this. I want the audience to, be entertained by this and informed and inspired to go look. What we're going to do is I'll take all of these links, and we'll put them in the show notes, okay? So I think they already are in the archive. Donna put them in there, and you can go do your own research, like James always says to do. But the one thing that I learned recently is the power of sociopathic minds. When you don't have, this is what you kind of get it in some of the spy movies, you don't care about, the puppies getting squashed by the tank. You're not saving the little girl and the whatever. That's not how your makeup. The mission, the job, whatever it is that you want to do. Empathy is out of the question. You're a sociopath and you don't care and rock and roll. Government and this kind of stuff that we are uncovering is like a playground for these people. It attracts them. A lot of people think that it makes them, that they get in there and but that may be true, but if you got any kind of conscience whatsoever, sooner or later it's going to hit you because you're up against these guys with absolutely none. And what they'll do is they got to pull you in whatever way they can. And what are we finding out just in the last couple of days? You got a new book coming out that is all about how Gladwell, whatever her name is, and Epstein, they were just Israeli agents blackmailing the planet to be able to do whatever the hell they want. Oh, gee, that would be wrong. They wouldn't do that. Court, this is like a course. What do you think was going on? The one thing that you find in sociopathic people is there is a trail of relationships and often bodies. It is just one of the things that you can just, who's got the, the wake of their big ship. At night, you see this green fluorescence that a cruise ship or an aircraft carrier will churn up and so on. You look at these people's lives and their careers, you'll see this trail of dead plankton. And that's how they see them. They're no more than plankton, man. That's just how they operate. So you see it on all sides of the aisle and everything. I mean, like the Republicans, you'll look at like a Dick Cheney or something. On the the left, you'll see Hillary Clinton. But they're all this is just representative. I don't want to get so detailed, but it's representative. When they're found out and whatever mechanism that doesn't serve them anymore, they disband it, however many carcasses and collateral damage there are, and then some of the top guys or the people moving the shakers behind the scenes reconstitute it in another way with new people and new installation, and they do it again. And only because of the internet, only because of the researchability and the searching, which is what we're trying to preserve, and the material like what, James Corbett has done, stuff that we cover, and like Richard Grove at Tragedy and Hope, and many others. Luke Radowski's on the street doing a lot of this stuff. A lot of these guys that are doing this stuff, if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't know. And usually it's a book. In the 90s, I remember, you got to read this book. If you want to know, read this book. Nobody reads the book. Hell, they can't make the movie. Okay, you're freaking crazy and whacked out, Mena, Arkansas, whatever, until Tom Cruise does a movie. What was the name of that movie? Something.
Good question.
I
didn't see it.
I did. I thought it was. It's a movie. Of course we did. Of course we ran drugs for Nicaragua and Mena, Arkansas. Of course, because of course that's what we do. So and starring Tom Cruise. So it's just, it almost belittles the issue. So this is what I wanted to present. There is a company, but it could be any company. This is just how it's done. It's called Teneo. How we first came across this was September of 16, right before the election. It's less than 2 months before the election. And a listener and friend, said, Ernie, you need to check this out. Looking at it, the Wall Street Journal had it up. And then we couldn't find it anymore. It was like it was gone. We had to go find a hard copy. Now you can find it, and other people have written about it. But it was about them doing an IPO, initial public offering. Teneo consulting firm with Clinton ties eyes $1 billion IPO, and Fusion GPS was in on this thing. And it just goes on and on and on. What it was is there was a guy named Declan Kelly. Now, I want to spend a little bit of time on him because you're going to be hearing about him again in the future. I guarantee it, okay? And this is why. Declan Kelly has a Russian wife that had some contacts and everything, but they've since divorced. His brother ran for the head of the Labour Party in the United Kingdom. They're both from Ireland. Alan, the brother, his claim to fame is a bunch of stuff, and he did, and we were doing kind of politician, and he kind of went away in 16 when he finally made the decision that every schoolboy in Ireland needed to have the HPV vaccine. Okay? So that right in with these guys, this crowd. We're going to get you hooked up with these people, get your paycheck, do this kind of thing, and then maybe you'll move onward and upward. And if you don't, well, you got paid. Okay, so you're still going to have that to deal with. Now his brother Declan had a PR firm that out of Ireland and so on. He goes to New York and he meets Hillary Clinton there. Hillary Clinton is, they're buddies and they start working together. And then there was another guy, young man out of college, law school or whatever, working in the Clinton White House back in the day as an aide, and the right mindset. You got to get the right kinds of people. For Hillary, it's Uma Abedin. For Bill Clinton, it's this guy named Doug Band. Now, Doug Band and this guy, Declan Kelly, hook up and they create Teneo. Teneo was a corruption or us. It is your one-stop shop of whatever the heck you need to going on. Now, before they did this, Hillary wanted to have Declan Kelly as a special employee or something of the State Department. They hire him to be a special employee of the State Department right after she doesn't win in '08. Obama becomes president. The big negotiation, what's she going to do? Secretary of State suited her just fine because she gets to travel around the world and assert pressure on this and that. You get into Uranium One. You get into all kinds of FBI informant stuff. You get in, they're not going to investigate, and Comey, and I'm a communist along with Brennan. And I mean, it's so freaking deep. But where? How is it deep? Is it deep just them? Is it deep in our society? How controlling are they? How easy would it be to scrape them off? To get the crud off of the frying pan. I mean, whatever that metaphor you want to use, I'm just going, how would we rid ourselves of these people? You can get rid of these people, but you can't get rid of these types of people until you understand what they're doing and how, and quit creating government positions for them to occupy. While Declan was working for the United States State Department, at the same time, Uma Abedin, which was working for the State Department, also was getting paid like $100,000 a year from Teneo. What? At the same time, Declan, what he was doing, he and band were making money getting Friends of Bill, FOB, Friends of Bill, to go around and shake hands and what's up and he gets a bunch of speeches he gets paid $1 gazillion for. All right? There was so much. Then that didn't even count the Clinton Global Initiative. Well, then you start talking about Haiti and how they ripped off that. It's so bad by the gazillions of dollars, and a lot of it is to get access to government money. Well, these guys were also paying for some kind of access. Some little I get some, and I get paid. We're going to get this, funneled through, and we're going to get this regulatory problem cleaned up and everything, which is a lot easier when you got a former president of the Senate, first lady, that happens to be Secretary of State. Where do you want to add anything into this from there?
Well, I mean, let's give a sense of some of the things that Teneo was doing in terms of influence peddling and what it actually accomplished. For example, I was just reading in one of the articles that you sent me about the Keystone Pipeline and how, so TD Bank, well, let's just read this. 4 days after the New York Times reported Hillary would be Obama's nominee to the next Secretary of State, Canadian company TD Bank suddenly began taking an interest in the man who had been president 8 years earlier. They began hiring him, Bill, to give a series of speeches for which they paid him $1.8 million. TD Bank happened to be the largest shareholder in another Canadian company, the Keystone XL pipeline, that was seeking federal approval. Hillary apparently lobbied for the pipeline behind the scenes. Released email shows that one of her assistants was telling them how to win regulatory approval. Bill was pimping it at a speech. So that's the kind of influence peddling that we're talking about here. But here's two things that stuck out. No, here's one thing that really stuck out for me when I was just dipping my toe into this Teneo water, is that New York City Police Commissioner Bill Braden left his position as New York City Police Commissioner in April of 2016. So just before this Teneo story was breaking in the New Republic, he left to become the risk manager at Teneo. I found that interesting. I don't know what exactly connection that is, but I think it is interesting that New York City Police Commissioner, especially the one that I assume was involved in something to do with the prosecution of Anthony Weiner and whatever was on the laptop, I'm assuming he had something to do with that investigation. Suddenly over at Teneo getting paid by them.
I tell you, what comes to mind is, maybe not him, but he knows who the muscle is in New York. Corrupt cops, who the hoods are, what you can get a little something, little phone call, got, the contact. This is the kind of structure that they build, and this is how you think it didn't happen when Bill was governor in Arkansas? Who do you think was the enforcement of this stuff? How'd these, people wind up dead all the time? Okay. You give them a badge and a gun, stuff happens. I was, I knew what I was getting into, but I went through this. I was like, there's one article I'm looking to find something, but Here it is. What happened that was interesting to me, where it started to unravel a little bit, and I don't know if this is the story they want us to know or what, but when WikiLeaks, because keep in mind, a lot of this comes out because of WikiLeaks. Seth Rich, gets access to a bunch of stuff, gives it to Julian Assange. He's a kid. He's in the DNC. Boom. He's shot. He's dead on the streets in D.C., man. Boom. Done. Along with a bunch of other trail of bodies, okay? Then you have, I can go on a bunch of other stuff. But the Chelsea Clinton, she's working with the Clinton Foundation. She's got a little something. They got a bug in her ear, and I don't know if she don't want to go down with the ship or something. She's going, whoa, 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 whoa. What the heck? You guys are using the Clinton Foundation as a recruiting area for your Teneo thing, and you're shaking down all these businesses and leaders and CEOs and so on, and you go to Teneo's website, and it says, CEO's solution to we get you what you need. Right over here, we got you taken care of. I mean, they're really upfront about it because they were selling this contact, this relationship with the Clintons while she's Secretary of State. Now, when she starts poking into this, that's when there's some of these emails and the Podesta emails that came out that where Doug Band and these guys are talking to Cheryl, I think it's Cheryl Mills. Mills is the chief of staff for Hillary. Now, I think she was also involved in the Bill's administration in the 90s. I'm not sure that. I think that, comes up. But, this is a small group of people that they got that they're, who's trusted. And Uma Abedin is definitely on that list, regardless of Anthony Weiner being her husband, which all these emails wind up on his iPad. I'm just, what kind of people are these, man? They're messed up in the head. So Chelsea Clinton is going, look, man, this is looking bad. I can see what you kind of... Then in one of those emails, the Podesta emails, it says, if this gets out, we're screwed. So they knew what was, it was, bad. But what happens? My incredulity on this thing is, because I know the IG report just came out today. And I'd rather, I was spending time on this rather than looking at that. In the show, when I was doing with Liberty Advisor Tim Pachote, and talking to Dr. Frank Hamber, we do the Trump Report and so on weekly. And I'm going, I guarantee that none of this stuff is going to be in there. That you're not going to, it's like the 9/11 Commission report's going to say Building 7 what? That's why I don't even need to look, and I already know. Because this structure is so much the method by which we are so screwed from so many different directions, and it's just this one that we have enough evidence that we can see how it's being done. And there's no way that the Republicans are going to do it.
Let me ask you this, because I need to get my handle into this. Because me looking at this, just going through some of the links that you sent and looking at this just cursorily, my first thought is, yeah, okay, well, right? This is how it works. How it's done. This is business as usual. So what's the hook that got you interested in this in particular? Because as we all know, this happens a million times all the time.
Because when we first found out about it in September, it was so much hubris. I mean, I had to look up hubris. And it's just, they got this God complex. They just, the arrogance of the gods. I'm just going to, because I can. And I went through this before here in Arizona. There was a big thing called ASCAM. That was, a big guy. I was in the middle of it as a young activist, and it got to the point to where the county attorney called. They had a sting going on against legislators and so on. They were trying to pull me into it, and fortunately, I just knew better. I was like, no, hell no. I don't have anything to do with you guys. I mean, this is where I explained to my kids. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I go, no, these are, my dad was going, oh, man, you can make bank. Yeah, I'm going, Dad. These guys got pointy horns and blood-dripping fangs and pointy-tail people. I mean, I don't have nothing to do with these guys. I went into the county attorney's office, wanted me to come in, and the meeting was 5 minutes. They go, well, we wanted to know how you knew so much. I go, let me tell you how much I know. I know enough to know you're not going to do anything about it. And they go, well, it's been nice talking to you. Peace out. And I left. That was it. I knew enough to know they weren't going to do anything about it. I'm getting the same feeling with this. And what came to our attention at the right before the 16 election, like 6 weeks or so before that, was that Teneo, they had set this whole thing up all this corruption over the years, international contacts, and then, of course, she's Secretary of State at the time, run for probably, oh my God. And what happens? They were going to do an initial public offering on the New York Stock Exchange, and it was going to be corruption or us, and they were going to have $1 billion. And the people that, in the media, the people that share board of directors with all these different media companies and multinational, whatever the hell, they were all going to get paid on this thing just from the initial offering, just the initial public offering on the New York freaking Stock Exchange while she was president. And I'm going, wow. Can you spell the word hubris? That's what got me so interested. That's what scared me. And I'm going, well, does this stuff happen? Well, of course, Trump, what does he do? Well, they stop doing business and they do the best they can to sever and turn over to what, I'm sure they got whatever. At least they made an attempt, they gave us some window dressing, or something, so, it's hard to sever.
Well, at the very least, there isn't the Trump Foundation that's going around peddling influence to foreign countries. It's an open business.
Yeah, they got the Clinton Global Initiative.
I'm not saying they're clean, but I'm just saying, yes, I see the difference. And it's disgusting because all Bill and Hillary have to sell is their influence in the corridors of power in government.
Well, more than that, Hillary Clinton was freaking Secretary of State. When you do foreign stuff, and who's on, the schmoozing the foreign investors, and Coca-Cola gives them $1 gazillion, and Dow Chemical, and they do a thing in Ireland, and you got, it's they, them, those. The CEOs of these large corporations, they're letting them use their plane to go to South Korea, saving them $100,000 here, and the, Clinton Foundation doing. It just goes, it's thick of this stuff. You imagine it happening. Villas, trips, and everything.
Yes, and a shocking new statement from President Hillary Clinton today. She says that Assad is a good guy, after all. And in other news, Assad has donated $1 million to the Clinton Global Initiative. We can all imagine how that would have played out. Right?
Of course it does. And Gaddafi wouldn't play ball, so Libya gets the crap beat out of it. It's so bad, and it's so blatant, and they get so much cover from the media. They're part of it. These guys share boards of directors. It's like one big giant company with Disney. Disney's freaking evil.
In a sense, this is my argument for why maybe we should have had President Hillary Clinton, because it is so out there. You can't even pretend that this is anything other than, for them, a big global racket that they're running. And I want that in people's face, because that's what it is. Let's just, let's take off the mask. This is what it is.
People that have been listening to my show for a long time, they'll remember, I tell the story back in the mid-'90s. I'm libertarian, and we're running for office, doing all this kind of stuff. And I was advocating for Bill Clinton getting reelected. Hell yeah, let's hurry up and get to a police state so we can leave. But as time goes on, this police state, it's getting freaking scary. The technology now, what's going on in China. Did you see, I just got to say this. Did you see that one interrogation they did with a Chinese guy one evening, the night before? This is within less than 12 hours. They went and scooped this guy up on a WeChat of 70 people. He criticized them for confiscating motorcycles. Boom, and he's in this
Don't
chain.
Talk bad about the traffic cops. You will be chained to a chair and interrogated until you are forced to confess your horrible crime.
I was scared of looking at that freaking chair. This chair was a cage that you're in. I'm going, man, might as well have been Abu Ghraib, man. I'm going, this is, and they're proud of it too. Mm-hmm. Look what we do. You sure you want to criticize?
Yeah.
And it was
welcome to the brave new world order we're goose stepping into.
And it was just for confiscating motorcycles, that he's complaining about.
Them, confiscating.
Yeah. No, it's criticizing. So, are you guys doing other stuff? Are you saying nice things about Hong Kong? Guess what's going to happen to you? We got bamboo slivers for them fingers. Okay. So this is what we're looking into. Now, because I had some dates up here. In May 16, Alan Kelly, which is Declan's brother, sought leadership of the Labor Party. Then in September 16, he calls for this, giving all school boys, this Gardasil thing, the vaccines and so on. Then he wanted to be head of the party in August of 18, and then he kind of drops off the radar. But his brother, Declan Kelly, I want people just kind of, you just kind of follow these people around. You start seeing when they're picked up, and you put it on your little radar screen, or you do it used to be worth a crap, a Google search result. If you have, like I put in, whatever, a name of this, a thing, or whatever, and it'll just pop up that it came on some story, So the plunge protection team, or the financial markets or whatever, all of a sudden you never hear about that, and then all of a sudden it'll pop up, but it'll be some alt thing, and there's nobody talking about this stuff on what's going on with the economy. It's going to take a dump. So that's why it was so important to me, is that I saw that it was institutionalized corruption that was up for sale to the world on the New York Stock Exchange, and its value, the $1 billion value of this thing, was because of the corruption, because of the content, because we were blatantly out there for sale. And I remember here in Arizona when the ASCAM thing happened, they acted just like this. I'm a young kid. I'm going, you mean client, legislator. I go, what do you mean client? I'm in the Senate, office of his. I go, what do you mean client? And you mean constituent? He goes, no, client. These guys pay me to do this. Dummy, what kind of, I thought you were here for support. And it's because I said the word that we had support of these other exporters, like my father's company, because I said that word support. They thought I was a lobbyist. They thought I had checks. They thought I had money, and they were telling me everything and bringing me in because there were some other politicos that I happened to know that, recommended I go talk to, and it was laid open for me. And I went, holy crap. And that's what sent me on this road that I am right now. And when I came across this, I saw the same thing, and the same thing is going to explode. When they do this IG report that they did that came out today, I'm going to be very shocked if they have any of this stuff in there. And it's all over Ukraine, the Biden thing. He's out there.
Your story there, what you just relayed, is so important, because what that speaks to is the fact that there are two layers of this whole government politics thing that is dangled before us. There's the front layer for the plebs out there. Oh, you are the government, and we work for you, and we want to help people. But the reality, the inner layer of it, is this is a racket. It is a monopoly. We are gangsters. We control this thing. And if you come in and play ball with us and you want to help out and fund our things, and we'll rub your back, don't worry. That's how it works. That's what it is.
And if you don't, you get shot in the back of the head.
Yeah, exactly. Once they're done with you, who cares?
Well, before they like Seth Rich just got killed.
The trough of power. It is a business. It is essentially a business / mafia, which is just another form.
And they wanted to take it to the New York Stock Exchange.
Yeah.
So this is one.
Not? Hey, it is a business.
Now this is not that these guys don't know, though. Okay. Now here's these exceptions come. They're talking about the exceptions. Okay, this is the exceptions they have when she wanted to have Declan Kelly come on and work for the State Department and do whatever. And I don't think he took salary, but man, he definitely got involved. What they do is they expanded Hillary Clinton State Department expanded the use of special government employees. They even got a title for it. Okay. Now, what it was used for, a relatively rare status originally created for scientists and others with unusual technical expertise that cannot be provided in-house. Well, we need, some out-of-house and not in-house corruption peddling of whatever the hell. It's a barn door they can drive anything through.
And this is she wanted to do this for Declan Kelly?
She did it. Yeah, when she was.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't know he was on the State Department.
Yeah, no, she. That was her big thing when she first got. Appointed as Secretary of State. The first thing she wanted to do was get Declan, because she knew what he was going to be doing, and she already had a plan for him. And there's some quote in here. It goes, let's see. Yeah, it's now official. It's now official. Can I call him? Can I ask him to start? She wrote in the August 28th, 09 email to her chief of staff, Cheryl Mills. Okay. And then what she was talking about was Declan Kelly. Can I call him now? Can we get started? Let's rock and roll. Let's do it. So he comes on. They give him this special government employee. There's no protection for us. They got an exemption or exception for all kinds of crap. They're going to do whatever the hell they want to do. Now, but what happens is these exceptions have come under scrutiny by Republicans. Well, let's just find out how much, okay? Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley, Republican, Iowa, is investigating Abedin, this is Uma Abedin's, work for Teneo between 12 and 13, a period in which she served Hillary Clinton at state while also earning $105,000 from the firm of Teneo. Okay? The State Department's Inspector General's office, well, we're going to get the truth now. Okay, here we go. Inspector General's office at state is also probing the matter, requesting records from Teneo and issuing a subpoena to the Clinton Foundation, though Abedin's lawyers have long denied there was any conflict of interest in her dual job status. The Republicans know. The Republicans are looking for this information. State is doing subpoenas to blah, 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 blah. And this report that came out today, you think they're going to talk about this stuff? Hell no, because they're doing it too. This is you want to know what the deep state is? Yeah. It's like
this crime family isn't talking about that crime family's crime. Why? I don't understand.
Right.
Right. Yeah, that's not how this works.
So my thing is that as I do this and I would go through and you're right. A lot of people, they'd go, yeah, this is a Tuesday. And what would you think was going on? What I am so concerned about is that they were so filled with confidence they could get away with this, that they were going to do an initial public offering so that they could get $1 billion. These guys were all lined up. The promise, what I was told by the person that told me about this, and he had some inside knowledge, and he goes, because I tell you what his thing was. He's not out open. He's, political. He's involved in whatever, in the banks and but his thing was, yep, here it goes. When the war started, 9/11, what does he do? He's buying him some Carlisle stock. He's going, I'm going to make bank. I know what they're going to do. They're going to make a bunch of money on this, and might as well too, because, here I go. Now, some people, I do it. He's going, look, man, I'm cleansing my soul by telling you. So he kept me informed of a lot of this stuff as time goes on. But it doesn't mean that he didn't know that there was going to be money to be made. So he keeps track of these guys, and what happened? Boom. They're going to do a Corruption R Us IPO. He went, whoa, man, even that put him back on his heels. He's like, Ernie, man, it's not only is it bad that the military-industrial complex has got their fingers in and campaign contribution. I go, it's worse than that. They're going to take the corruption from out of the shadows and put it on the stock market and have them invest in it. And he goes, the reason that the media and a lot of these guys that are doing this stuff, just like Zucker at CNN says, and people, this is it. This is what you're going to do. This is all you cover. You got Project Veritas, and they're going in. What the hell is going on? Because they got their man inside to tell them what they're going to do. And they were so full of themselves that they were going to get away with this, that they were going to have gazillions of dollars and it be on the stock market, that people around the world, corporations, pension funds, I mean, your retirement was going to be funding corruption. Tell me that doesn't make you go, ew, we crossed some Rubicon somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. You're exactly right about that. And this is the one thing that I'll give the Dr. Franks of the world is that, yeah, clearly Trump winning was not part of Clinton Inc.'s plan for this time period. So what's your take? What happened there? Why? How?
I don't know. And I know Trump is out, he's behind the scenes and out in front. He's saying things about, we got to worry about the election computers. We got to learn. Oh, they wouldn't do election fraud. That'd be wrong, But of course they are. Well, the thing is I go, did he overwhelm the fraud? Did somebody kind of, they slipped in a program? They fraction magic did in their favor, or they, or they just kind of overwhelmed it, and the people, they went, whoa, what the hell just happened? Because I don't know. Is he part of it? I don't know. That's not my concern. I don't, you're still voting. I don't care. That's not the point.
Exactly.
My point is that, if it's not them, it's people like them. Our system is set to do this.
That's the thing. It's the system. It is the trough of power that creates these situations. And yes, any psychopath is going to step up and take that position, but that's the point. The position is there. Psychopaths are going to be drawn to that position.
You know, there was when I was running for Secretary of State in '94, I was running against the President of the Senate, the Democrat, and the Republican Speaker of the House. And I go, why the hell do they want Secretary of State so bad? Well, I knew why. It's because all of this election corruption and the machines and the computers were coming, and that was my whole campaign. And I just kicked the crap out of them. Every forum, I was, being endorsed by every high school newspaper we spoke at, or college, or something like that. But not the big ones. So it was, and they were like, they were repeating what I'm saying and all that kind of crap. I knew they weren't going to do it. But one of the big issues they tried to make a big deal out of was ping golf clubs are made here in Arizona, like down the street here in Glendale or something. And they had given a set of golf clubs to the Speaker of the House, Jane D. Hall, before for something. We're making a big deal out of the gifting, and they bribed her with golf clubs and yada, yada. I don't even know if she golfed. I don't care, So and they're going to me, what do you think about that, Mr. Libertarian, pure whatever the hell? And I had got this from Judge Buttrick. He was running for governor at the time, a libertarian, and now retired federal judge. And he goes, and they put him as a judge to get rid of him. They made him a judge. You know what? We'll make you a judge. We don't need you, Harvard Law grad, Vietnam vet of whatever. Hell no. We know how to fix this. But he's out on the stump for Jacob Hornberger, Future Freedom Foundation, run as libertarian for the nomination for president. And that, so he's not going away. Now in retirement, he's got time. Well, this was what I learned from him, and on the campaign trail, this is whenever this came up, I always brought it. It only came up a couple of times. It was a big deal until I got the comment on it. Boom, they never brought it up again. And it was this. You will always have things of value and money go to power. If you want to get rid of the golf clubs or the money or whatever the hell, because they're going to do First Amendment if I get to spend my money in PACs and whatever the hell they want to do, is going to happen. There's not a damn thing you can do about it. It's the power. You eliminate the power, you eliminate the money. And I go, but you don't want to eliminate the power, you just want to bitch about the money. So I go into detail about that, make a big deal out of it, and they're like, damn it, I hate when he does that crap, okay? Because it's true. They're going to get, whether I know it's golf club or not, they're going to get something. So you get the Uranium One thing, that there was an FBI informant that was a guy that was informant on the Russians of what they were doing, and what they didn't know is he had information about Bill Clinton, brown paper bag of cash to these guys, blah, blah, blah. They don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
God, it's so bad, James. And now you understand from all my experiences and doing this kind of stuff and getting choked up about this stuff is why I'm so adamant about you having your work always available. And the show that we did today in the third hour, we got a lot of stuff started and we're working on the search engines of them, got people inspired. Once it starts, once we start, we already put your stuff up. That's very inspirational, a lot of people. And it was because of our conversation that you put up about IPFS and decentralized and declare your independent, whatever that one time, is what prompted him and some other guys to come in and work on this program with us, was because we keep chipping at it a little bit at a time.
Yeah. And this conversation is making me appreciate more the people who are doing the cultural work, which is what ultimately changes minds, which is what ultimately changes the world. And because what you're talking about, I'm like, oh, if only someone had written an allegory about, I don't know, a dark lord creating a ring of power that everyone lusts after. And everyone thinks, if I put it on, I can use it for good. And everyone gets corrupted by it. If only someone would come and write a story about that so people would understand, right?
My precious. Yeah. So I'm always about the solution. And to me, the solution, because I always go to a lot of the guys that you guys do this, and I go, yeah, now what? Now what? Now what? Now what? Now what? The now what is just all of us, individuals, just pulling back. It's every little anarchist decision you make of, when you get up, how much you exercise, what you eat, what do you educate your children with, what kid down the street you help and say a nice thing to and give and show how to use a hammer and a drill. Something. It's all these little things. It's not a big thing. It's declaring your independence and decentralizing your life away from these control grids, get above the grid. That's why all this pirate stuff that we're doing, it's a mindset. It's a revolution between the ears. That is why they keep going, it takes a village to force and inoculate your kid. I mean, I'm like, what? It takes a village to raise. You didn't do that business by yourself. We did it, the government kind of thing. And I'm I'm starting to see cracks in the social justice warrior and the value of a university education and all of this debt and everything. It's just people are just turning their backs. And while they're freaking out about the stock market and then everybody's pension goes away, it's going to be, people are going to abandon this like you're talking about. It'd been better if Hillary got elected. You get it now? I mean, but it gets bad. And it'll turn into the Chinese people don't have guns.
Yeah, and in a sense, if I was going to make a case for why the planners, they, them, those, would put someone like Trump in instead of Hillary, it is precisely because you have energized at least half the population now to, yay, we can save the system. Now we've got this good guy in who's going to do the good things as opposed to that evil Hillary. So now we're going to save this system and
with negative interest rates.
And which is all going back to that old phrase about I don't want to be an efficiency expert for the state or whatever. No, I hate the state. I want it to die. I want it to perish. It should not exist. I don't want it to function better, or we can make it slightly more efficient. Tax cattle processing grid.
One thing that libertarians would always say is that the biggest fear we have is a government program that works. I'm not that afraid. And right now, the story today, we're working on getting a guest on. His name's Jonathan Lockwood. And there was another Jonathan Lockwood. I knew, that came and spoke at our vaccine education summit, a young activist, that dealt with the legislators in California that I really enjoyed. But this Jonathan Lockwood was a guy that expatriated to San Miguel Obispo, something in Mexico. And it's a beautiful, old, classic Spanish town from back in the day that's just peaceful. And they got a big expat community there. And he's come on and talked about it. And one of the other guys that works with him, he does voiceovers, from there. And he kind of just enjoys his life. And it's all peaceful and so on. And then Donna said, Jonathan Lockwood and James Guzman on show hour 1 tomorrow. Thanks, Donna. Now, these guys, I had them on, and what came up was that there were a drug cartel. They're losing money, or they want to get more territory, or they find a way to, make some money. And they went to all the business owners and said, you got a new property tax. They're just shaking them down. They came in with guns, just killing people. People are just abandoning, they're leaving. And I want, and they were telling me how great and peaceful this place is. There's nowhere you can go anymore. They're coming into the town in their, Toyotas with their 50 caliber or whatever, laying waste to people. They're even coming across the border in Texas now. They're doing, I'm going, wow. And you wonder why Americans got freaking guns? I just had a report that BATF is saying ATF said there's 430 something million guns. 437 million guns, in America, and 1 billion something rounds of ammunition every year. Bring it on, bring it on, bring it on. Now in Japan, it's relatively peaceful, I would think. Why do you think it's different there, regardless of what's going on in the world? And will it stay that way?
I mean, there's a lot of different factors that go into this thing. I mean, it is a cultural thing to a certain extent, but that's the thing that amazes me about the American situation, is that you have the people in Washington who clearly are generally expressing the coastal kind of viewpoint of the world and trying to impose that on places like Arizona and New Mexico and Texas and Montana, and places that are so completely different from the reality in, I don't know, LA. I mean, it's so mind-boggling that anyone would presume to be able to set rules and laws for this entire geographical location, and everyone will abide by them. It makes you wonder, do these politicians really know? Do they really understand what that 437 million weapons means and what it would be like to actually try to pry that out of people's hands? I don't think they understand.
I'll tell you, I don't know if I told you this before. Some of the audience knows I bring it up every now and then, but During the mid-'90s, there was a Southern Poverty Law Center did a list of all the militias around the country. Well, because it's Arizona A, that was the first A that had one, and it was me, because we had SAFE, Second Amendment is for everyone, which was a political pact that we originally started with to do an unrestricted concealed carry initiative, which eventually we got here in Arizona. Well, they just, because they're Southern Poverty Law Center, they just threw me on there. I didn't know about it until Sheriff Joe Arpaio, that I had known during the campaigning and everything back in the 90s, calls me. He says, "Hey, Ernie, man, you're on the Southern Poverty list." I go, "Woohoo, looks like I made it." I don't care. But what happened? I get the Japanese version of 60 Minutes comes and interviews me, Time, a weekly magazine out of South Korea, a television crew for a few days out of West Germany. I'm going, whoa. And this is what we found out. I had my pizza restaurant, I had a Korean driver, and he translated the article that they wrote in South Korea, and this is what it was all about. Once you come with this kind of realization, you understand why they got this international thing. What was happening is in the early 90s, they couldn't get anybody to buy our treasury bills. It was up to like 8% or something. It was some ridiculous amount because, you had Greece hit 6% or Italy or something. Everybody freaks out, and the world's coming to an end. It was 8% here in America. And they were like, holy crap. They had to get $50 billion a month in rollover, which was like real money back then, doing all kinds of stuff. Now they just give it to them overnight. But anyway, at the time, nobody would buy it because they thought with this militia thing coming up because of George Bush daddy gets up and he says, "Read my lips, no new taxes." But without taxes, the math didn't work. And there was no way they were going to be able to pay back these 30-year treasuries and so on. So they were going, well, we're not doing it. America has a history. They casted off the biggest empire in the known universe at the time, save God, the British Empire. And they took their guns and they said, no. Well, now they go, "Read my lips, no new tax." They go, "Oh, okay. Well, here's all these Republicans going, yep, nope, we're, no. They're going libertarian, doing this militia things going all over everywhere. So what did they do? They passed the Brady Bill. And they did it to go, look, we got our slaves on the plantation under control. Don't you worry about it. Give us the money. And what happened is when the Japanese 60-minute version guy came and their producer, spoke English, and he wanted to go meet with us and went to the gun range and wanted to talk about and everything because we were at a gun show and they had people walk around with AR-15s and a dowel rod with a sign sticking out of it, how much it's for sale. People were just trading guns. They're like, what law? What are you talking about? Okay. Well, we're there doing our libertarian, stump speeches, standing on the stage thing that we had. And, and when the bad guy comes and you want the chalk line to be the bad guy and not you, and, the cops just come to notify next of kin, it better be the bad guy, blah, 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 blah. So they're going, oh, yeah, these are the guys. So they come over and they talk to us and everything. That's what this whole thing was about. They were sent on a mission because they wanted to know if investing in America's debt was a good investment or not. Because we already casted off an empire centuries before. That was it. So this gun issue.
Tax cattle going to revolt this time.
Yeah. Right. And, and Montana has the average of 29 guns a household. Damn. So I have been around long enough to see what the real issues are. It's money. It's how much they can pick the carcass. And you got the great whites just feeding on the whale carcass. And then there's some big meg out there just going to take them all in, And you just got to look, what do you do for you and your family? Move to Japan? So I don't know. It would be move to Mexico. This place sounded very nice. Not anymore. Why? Because of the drug war. There has to be a planetary awakening and understanding. Half of the planet right now is not on the internet. Within 3 to 5 years, it's going to change. They're going to get broadband satellite of I'm on, and they're going to go, oh, yeah? And we need your biometric to get an account of you're allowed in our special money of, drawing rights of the bank and kind of whatever. Nah, I'll just get a crypto on my new smartphone I got free from whatever, and you don't get to see it and none of your business. This is the battle. They're looking for the next wave.
Exactly. exactly. Yeah.
You
No,
kinda-
and that's the battle. That's the battle. That's the real battle. Ultimately, do we have the ability to transact and interact outside of the grid, or is it on the grid? And it's about to be cemented into place, hardwired, literally into the infrastructure of the world around us.
and
It's crazy.
it's
Crazy.
what's focused here in Arizona. We have Michael Crow, which is the head of Arizona State University, all linked up with NQTel. They, have all this genetic kind of the special money from they, them, those, or whatever the heck. Bill Gates bought a couple hundred acres out here in the West Valley that they want to develop into a smart city. Now it's not called global warming or climate change or whatever. All the Arizona State University that used to be global warming now is sustainable development. Well, same thing. I mean, that's what they wanted to do. So they're getting the trifecta. They've made a big deal out of. They got industry, which is, Intel and Google and they, them, those. You have policymakers, which is all the corrupt politicians and so on. And let's see, it was business. It was, and then of course, the activists got, academia. That's what it was. The professors and so on. So they got academia, business interest, and the politicians, and they're made it out like it's an organic thing. No, it's a Cineo crap. It's all these guys, they, them, those. They got a plan that they are going to build the smart city like they did in Toronto and like they're doing all this stuff. It's going to be a Google freaking PlayStation of whatever the hell. And they're going to, do your China score of you get, extra credits if you, park right or something. Here it comes.
Yeah, I saw a great comment on a YouTube video the other day, and I never ever say that, but it's true. The comment was climate science logic. There don't need to be any climate protests in China. They're already communist. And that's it in a nutshell. I mean, this is, of course, they're going to sell to you. It's green. Oh, smart cities of the future. It's going to be so efficient and green. And oh, it's loving for the earth. And oh, by the way, yeah, we track everything you do.
Well, they're going to want to get away from the pollution they got. People are definitely seeing that.
Yeah.
If the government cleans up the air, they're
No,
going to
that
love
actually,
them.
that genuinely is an actual political issue. It's just,
Of course it is.
Of course, the environmental activists in the West don't care about that issue, right? They don't care about what's happening in China. I mean, they care, but they're not. Who cares? They're not. Greta Thunberg isn't going to go to China and start bad-mouthing the Chinese government, right?
Do you feel a rebounding? Do you feel a blowback? Do you feel like the SJW thing is starting to wane a little bit?
I'm honestly not as concerned about the SJW stuff as I'm sure someone in America is, because it's just not a thing here. It's just not my reality, so I don't relate to it in that way.
Yeah.
But the environmental activism and the greenie and the climate stuff,
It's all the same.
I don't
thing.
know. I don't know what to make of it because I'm not on the ground in the U.S., so I don't know what the sense is there. But it is overwhelming. And here's the worst part: is that it obviously has institutional control at this point. We just had newly approved, newly ensconced ECB chief Christine Lagarde, the convicted criminal who used to head the IMF. She's now saying that one of the big things she's going to bring to the ECB is, well, central bankers have to take over the climate issue. So we're going to
saw that. They need more power to control the climate through the European Central Bank. I'm like,
European Central
when
Bank.
the hell did that come a thing?
Related story. Someone just got appointed to be the UN Special Rapporteur or whatever on climate and sustainable whatever. Mark Carney, who, of course, ex-Bank of England governor, where he's stepping out of the Bank of England role to become the UN chief of the world climate finance or whatever it is. And this is where it's going, the financial side of it. And that's the scary part, because I think they have, I mean, whatever hearts and minds they've won in this war, info war, to try to, get people over to their side. Oh, the world's ending and it's all your fault. Whatever that it doesn't even matter once they have the institutional control.
The institutional control is not hearts and minds control. They try and make it the same thing. They want you to believe it is. It matters not. He is your king. I mean, that kind of thing. And I'm like, not so much. So how do you combat that? Pirates. I mean, I just got to get the mindset of that. See, after our conversation, we've talked before, and this, and a lot of this, and some of the information, and then we haven't even got into Biden and Ukraine and all. It's all the same thing. And you kind of see my reasoning for doing the pirate thing. I mean, what else am I going to do? It's an opinion. It's just your default opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's brilliant on every level because it works culturally, because obviously pirates are a thing, and it works historically because the pirates, of course, is a story that needs to be retold. Because in the public imagination, the pirates were the bad guys, and the pirates were these horrible enemies of humanity, and piracy is illegal and all of this. And so they're trying to attach that thread of history to the idea of online piracy and all of this. But no, we can completely turn that around and say, no, we are the pirates. Yeah, we're the pirates, and we're going to create a better world.
You know what was interesting?
It has so much cultural resonance that it's a great idea.
Well, one thing, I gave a presentation a couple weeks ago to a group here, and it's a lot of the upper crust of liberty, whatever, think tanks and doctor lawyer kind of stuff, and black sheep Ernie gets to have a say. And I get up and I said, think about it. I did a search, and all the high school and college mascots of the hundreds of teams, the seventh most popular are pirates. Pirates and Raiders, like Oakland Raiders, kind of deal. The Buccaneers, that kind of thing. And I'm going, I go, why? They're not the Hitler brown shirts. I mean, you don't see that as a team. I mean, aren't pirates supposed to be bad guys? I mean, why? And it's unique to America. And the reason is because they are the ones that inspired this sovereign kind of, screw the crown kind of thing. Because what happened? You're a pirate because you're against all flags. That concept of not flying your flag under them was the problem. The crown would send you out with a letter of marque and permission to lay waste to the Spanish galleon, to take the gold that they stole from the Incas and killed 40 million Americans with disease and swords. 40 million. I mean, that's just kind of the brush number. So I'm going. So now you have these guys going. You know what? I'm going to repatriate that gold to me, Oh, you're not allowed. It's okay if you have this. So then what happens? The crowns get together and they want to go after the pirates. Why? Because they were against all flags. It's a mindset. And then the American Revolution, what did they do? They gave letters of marque to go and, pillage all of the goodies and the powder and shot from the British ships, and so that they got it. They go, oh, it's ours now. Thank you. So this is, and then you'd had history.
I think other cultures have that idea. It's just, it takes different forms. I mean, there's the Robin Hood. Is that essentially that kind of idea? It's outside the law. It's the screw the crown. Morality is the authority kind of thing. But it does take a different inflection in the American.
Well, a Robin Hood that's one thing. Ayn Rand, the objectivist, libertarian kind of mindset, altruism is bad and all that kind of stuff. Everybody acts in their own self-interest and so on. She hated the idea of Robin Hood, stealing from the rich.
I do too, to be clear.
Well, it's stealing from the rich. But I mean, if you look at the real legend, and stealing from the rich to give to the poor, that wasn't necessarily it. It was
in fact, that's one of the the reality the reality of the fable versus what's been culturally given down to us. But what's been culturally given down to us is clearly that's what we're supposed to believe government is about. Government is Robin Hood that's going to go out there and take from the rich and give to the poor, which is just the total inversion of reality. But
that wasn't really what was going on from my impression. It was that the crown, with King Richard being gone, they were just stealing from the people and he was getting it back. It was more like a V for Vendetta tale.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Actually, that would be a fascinating study. I should do that for my film literature New World Order, because the difference between what we believe the Robin Hood story was and what the story originally was is quite different.
Well, when they went to, the Natalie Portman character, what was her name? V or whatever, Evie. Well, Evie goes to him and he goes, you stole all these paintings from the chancellor? How do you steal from the censor? So it was kind of like a pirate. How do you steal from the thieves? You know, they laid waste to millions of people and took all this stuff, and you're pissed off because I took it. I mean, you know, so it's just so my thing. The pirate. As soon as we started going in, I could see that it was going to come down to this. I was thinking in the future, and the reason the name of the pirate ship is the Precariat is because at Bilderberger, you know, Luke Radowski went there, and had one of the topics of their presentation was we got to deal with the Precariat or something. And I'm like, what the hell are they talking about? This is when Brexit was going on and Trump had yet to be elected. And they said it's this populist move. These people think that they don't need to be ruled. They're against all flags kind of thing. We got to cure that, you know. We got to deal with the Precariat. I mean, what the hell is a Precariat? There was an economist wrote a book, Guy Standing, a guy in UK, was talking about the Precariat. They live a precarious existence. They have no job. They got a big giant student debt. They're young. They're, you know, don't have any skills, and they're the Precariat. So I'm going, oh, I know that's a future. I like that name. And I took it because I know that, well, they probably won't now, but they were going to use that as this definition of what we were supposed to be afraid against, and universal basic income. That's what that was all about. Yeah. So I'm just, you know, and that was definitely steal from the rich, give to the poor kind of thing right there.
Yeah. In fact, I mean, the Robin Hood tax is something that's been propounded, and they've got a bunch of, you know, billionaires who are on board with this. Yes, you should tax us more to give to the poor. It'll be great. Oh,
you know, the progressive income tax it gets to the point to where you got more than you, and it's not yours anymore. It's ours. You know, you don't get, no matter how much you make, you don't get none of it. It's all ours now. You're just working for us. And
you think George Harrison wrote Taxman because he was just writing a song? No, that was real. 19 for you, one for me. 1 for you, 19 for me.
Well, it was
probably really the tax rate they were paying in England.
Right. I'm sure the Beatles, they were making enough. He's like, whoa, let me wrote a song about it. Like, here you go.
Yep. And that's why none of them actually are domiciled in England anymore. Right?
Well, this happened to Depardieu is one of the richest, most famous, actor. He did Cyrano de Bergerac, and he played in Roxanne, you know, the movie. Anyway, he has, you know, a big nose. He's a French actor. Well, he had a cheese museum in France also. It was a big, giant thing, the cheese museum.
Sounds
right?
so French.
I know, it was a French thing. So because he had a bunch of money, all of a sudden they had all these, you know, rich guy tax that they did. Boom. He moved, I think it was Bulgaria or, you know, something like that in Europe, just left, took his entire museum, put it on a truck, moved. It's not in France anymore. It's over here where I'd be living. And they go, you deliberately ducked.
Yeah.
There was, I tell you where that comes from for me. You ever watch the cartoon Tom and Jerry, the old ones, you know, about the cat? There was one episode where Tom talked. They never talked.
Yeah.
There was one that I remember. He goes and he tries to hit Jerry or get him or something, and he, you know, got down, and he goes, you deliberately ducked. I never forgot that. I go, whoa. So when you have this Facebook guy that had a 2 passports, you know, Brazil and here, and when he got his payout, was like he saved himself $60 million or something by giving up his U.S. citizenship, his passport, go Brazil, and they go, you deliberately ducked. Now we have, just yesterday, it was announced that Sergey Brin and Larry Page have stepped down as CEOs of Alphabet and, you know, and head whatever the hell of Google. And the reason they're going, well, they are avoiding a big tax that's coming. There's a tax, the reason, the motivation for the timing of that.
Interesting.
And I go, I thought they were all willing to pay they you know, their fair share. I mean, what the hell? And while they're using Google and I think maybe, you know, because Larry Page is heavy into Kitty Hawk, which is a flying car company. He's doing the flying car thing. Then you have the airship, which is, you know, like Precariat. They're doing the airship. Sergey Brin, you can't find anything on it, man. They are secret and the underground layer of. They are, man, not saying nothing. Get a little bit
Maybe
of tidbit.
they're Freedom's Phoenix listeners, and they're building the pirate infrastructure for you.
I'm sorry?
Maybe they're Freedom's Phoenix listeners, and they're building the pirate infrastructure for you.
Yeah, I'm going to rip them off probably, or whatever the hell they're doing, you know? And I don't care. You know, 3 days after I gave a presentation on this to some supporters and so on a couple of years ago was when this got announced. Sergey, oh yeah, Ernie, yeah, whatever, crazy Ernie doing whatever, let's go golfing, And then 3 days later, I came back to Arizona, and 3 days later it broke that he was doing this, and I sent it. I go nah. So of course they're going to do it. He's going to live on it and travel the world in his freaking airship. Why? How you going to get my tax money? I don't live there no more. I'm a citizen of the atmosphere. Now what? This is coming, and I'm just so I'm inspired by.
Here's the bigger part of that that they are trying to set up right now, because I'm reading stories every day now about they've just determined that Google and Facebook and what have you have dodged $100 million in taxes by
bastards
profits here and there kind of thing. But the real implication of that, of course, at the end of the day is, these are loopholes. So what we need is a global taxation infrastructure. And wouldn't you know it, the OECD has been working on that behind the scenes for the last several years. And here it is. We have a global tax grid now. Yay.
All right, OECD. I've seen it, them advocate. I forgot what that stands for.
Organization, Economic Cooperation and Development. I don't know.
It's they, them, those, whatever. Well, the United Nations has been screaming for shaking down everybody for more money. They go, we don't get enough money. We need more money. We got to have some money. If we don't get the money, we won't have the money, and we need the money. And it goes, so it's going to be a global tax. Let's do a global tax.
Exactly. Well, and OECD, the one they're working on right now that I talked about recently on my program, is explicitly modeled on FATCA, which was the U.S. Treasury plan to get the IRS's fingers into every financial institution around the world. And we saw all these different states eventually rolling over and caving in, even Switzerland. Bank secrecy, what's that? Here you go. You have all the info on any U.S. customer in our banks. And they did that. And then the OECD looked at that and said, hey, we should start doing this. Okay, let's model. And so they started the process for the OECD.
Well, this is why crypto's got them freaked out so much, because they can't stop it. They'll go, well, we can track it. I go, yeah, but you can't stop it.
And you hear about the Ethereum developer that just got arrested for going to North Korea and daring to show them about Bitcoin or Ethereum?
We had that story on. I didn't read it. It was last week, I think, or a little while ago this weekend or something. I saw it. And it was he was showing them how to skirt United States sanctions or some crap like that.
Well, that's the way they're framing it. Anyway, it was an Ethereum developer giving a presentation in North Korea. You don't do that. Don't teach them how to use this technology.
Oh.
It's almost like they're afraid of this technology, huh?
That was, I didn't even think about it that far. I mean, of course, I looked at it. They're showing them the way they played it. It wasn't like he was at some, symposium or he's showing them about crypto. It's that he was in some basement with the North Korean army and Kim Jong-un there, giving him a wallet to skirt U.S. Sanctions or something. Which is probably what would happen anyway. I don't care. I mean, I don't care.
I'm pretty sure Roger Ver said he was invited to that same conference, but he declined because he was afraid of the North Korean government. And he said, well, maybe I should have been more afraid of the U.S. government. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, we're due another interview. We just had Roger on a couple weeks ago, and this would be a good one. We're going to do a longer podcast and spend some time with some of the guys when we can hook it up. I'd definitely bring that up. Yeah, I'd go, what about North Korea, man? Because you don't need to. Hell, they just learn English and watch YouTube. Yeah. I'm sure South Koreans got, they can explain it to them too.
Yeah, exactly. It's as if they needed to fly someone in to teach them how to use this technology you can Google.
They just want it. Well, what happened to that guy? I mean, they arrested him and what?
As far as I know, he's arrested. I haven't seen the follow-up. I don't know if he's in jail or...
one thing I asked Roger, I told him, because I knew these guys when they were younger back in the day, when this whole thing first started, they're sitting around the park benches at festivals explaining it to me kind of thing. And, the guys that there's a lot of guys that I trust, but in this space that I just keep track of what they're doing. I want to see what's going on. They're going after them, and they just do the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. Okay, you want me to comply with that? I don't want to go to jail. You want me to pay $60 fine? Yeah, whatever. I'll move here. I do it, and then they go to the next thing, the next thing. Eric Voorhees that did Shapeshift, where you have the exchanges, because he knew it was going to be the exchanges is where this thing was going to be, was going to go. Well, then, of course, they got to have KYC and this and that. And I asked Roger, I go, next time you see Eric, ask him, what's the next thing? Like he's going to tell you.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. He's not going to tell you until it happens.
Well, he started off with Satoshi Dice, which was when a block every 10 minutes, on average, when that's done, it creates, a number of hash. It was like a lottery. They just go, it's the numbers. It's like, freaking it's the numbers game, whatever the hell it was, So they did that, and they sold it to, I think it went to Calvin Ayre, the gambler guy that's, wanting to be all compliant with Bitcoin, Satoshi Vision, Craig Wright saying he's whatever. And so that, you just know they're compromised already. We're compliant. We're the most compliant. We can be government approved compliant, right? So he bought it for, I think it was something ridiculous number, like 20 million or something. I mean, he got some money, So Eric sells Satoshi Dice. Then he did Bit Instant. That was you do transactions. I took and put a deposit at my bank. It got a wire transfer to Bit Instant, and then boom, money got in there, and I was able to buy silver here in Scottsdale. So loop was closed as far as I'm concerned. I'm making a big deal out of it. Boom, Charlie Shrem gets arrested on this. Voorhees, he told me, he said, Ernie, I gotta be careful. They used our interviews, against me. It cost him like a $60,000 fine or something. He goes, all right, well, I'm done with this. And he goes down to Panama and started Coinapult, which was using Nokia flip phones, a billion phones. They're texting cell phone minutes, and 40% of Kenya's GDP was freaking cell phone minutes. And they're going, well, hell, we can help them with a billion flip phones. We can be a third party, trusted third party, because that's how they're going to be able to do it, and do crypto. Well, they went after him for that. All right, fine, screw you. He does Shapeshift, and they go after him for that. So I'm going, after about the third, fourth, fifth time, you're going, I think Eric's got another plan, What is it? I don't know. But I don't think he's going to be telling me anymore.
We'll find out. Yeah, we'll find out when it happens.
Well, thanks for helping me. I feel better talking to you about this in the audience.
Good.
Because it was welling up in me. I'm just, and to answer your question, it wasn't because, it's a Tuesday. I mean, this is what they do. It's that they're so well connected. You have President, First Lady, Secretary of State, Obama and all their friends, this entire tapestry of international connection, CEOs of everything, multinational, international corporations of doing and, raping and pillaging, and Putin sitting here watching this with Ukraine going, damn, I think I'll just sit back over here and let the dollar go, man. I was like, holy crap. So it's is Putin he's not a good guy, but damn, it's like he's got competition, for Dr. Evil, So when I saw them with the hubris that they had to take this and they would have had $1 billion and do it on the stock exchange and make it public, and you could invest our corruption or us on the anticipation that Hillary's going to be president. I don't think I've been that concerned in my activist life. I don't think I've ever been, it's that bad, but I remember the feeling. It was one of the things that started me here in Arizona to realize how bad they are. And then to start, Dr. Frank, really focused on this sociopathic thing. And I'm going, yep, here we go. So that's why I'm so supportive of what you do. And I have to have access to your material and everybody have it for a chance that we not go into the abyss from which we can't recover.
That's it. That's what we're aiming at, is at least give us the chance. And it is about opening minds and winning minds over to the real mindset, which is piracy. It is no flag. I don't worship your flag. Get out of my face. And once we can reinstill that spirit, which is still there in America, I know it's still there. I talk to people all the time. I know it's still there. Yeah. Once we can reignite that spark, you try to control a nation of cats as opposed to a nation of sheep.
Reigniting the flames of freedom. That's what it says right there. And uncovering the secrets and exposing the lies. And I'm just, I'm with you, brother. Anything that you need to help, you keep doing what you're doing. I promote you all the time because there's just only so much each of us can do. And
I just need to meet up with you in a couple months. I'm hoping you're going to be there.
oh, at Acapulco.
Acapulco.
I haven't, I never plan, but I always wind up going anyway, but it's just, there's so many things going on, and I'm just, I'll probably wind up being there, but it's just, and I look forward to seeing you. And we met, so first time we met was at the first in Acapulco.
That's it.
That's right. I remember. Yeah. Don, we were out there, watching the cliff divers, and the 14, you're going, whoa.
Yeah.
It was scary, man. It was windy, and we're like, don't do it, man. It's okay. I'll give you $1 not to jump. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I feel better. And I was really past couple of days, man, I've been in a funk, and just talking to you, it just makes me feel better. So
okay.
Thank
you.
Good.
All right. Well, let's do it again next week.
Yeah. Well, no, next week I'm gonna have to take next week off because I'm going to Washington State to meet with some people and vacation a little bit for the holidays and so on. But we're going to be having some high-end conversations on this stuff. There's a lot of this stuff going. We all got to plan. Plan for your family, plan for your neighborhood, plan for get out there and start making physical contact, and we've been working on it for years that we're here, and we may even start deciding my youngest child is now 30, and we got 12 grandkids, but our kids are no longer, and they're autonomous. We have a lot of great hobby. We spend time with all our family and everything. But now Don and I really got to start thinking about ourselves and what we're going to be planned for the next as we get older. We got to start. But we're going to keep doing what we're doing. But a lot of the stuff that we have and so on has been for grandkids, and we're not really thinking of ourselves. And we need to start. So we're going to be working on making this transition into our later lives. But if I don't have the material that James produces and other people that we know and our stuff, heck, just the 400,000, articles that are there, are the search engine on Freedom's Phoenix. Hell, it's worth it just for that, because they're going to take this stuff away. And I'm using my own search engine more than I use Google or other search engines now, because I knew I had that. I remember having, boom, it comes up and sends you on a path. Whoa. So I'm optimistic, but it's darkest before the dawn, and it's not dark enough yet to start being the dawn, but it's going to get there. Buy a bag of beans.
That's it. All right, I got to go, but we'll see you in 2 weeks then.
Yeah, thanks, James. I appreciate it.
Take care, man.
Peace.